see these? Is this one taken?
No.
You
Go
sure?
right ahead. Yeah, those
Okay.
two are actually free of both.
Okay.
This is, however, Mr. Chair.
Sorry for the delay, folks. Here it is, 6:04. We're going to start the meeting for the June 27, 2019 Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting. We call a meeting to order and have a attendance call. To my left,
Larry Brown.
Stan Nato.
Sean Skillings.
Steve Baker.
Mike Blair.
Thank you. Next is, before that, I'd like to jump ahead if the board allows me to. We've been asking for people to put their names in the hat to become an alternate. We have someone interested. I'd like to go forward with the alternate first before we do anything, if it's okay with everyone.
So,
Okay. So we have Sherry, and I'm sorry, Sherry, I forget your last name. Gazer. That's interested in being on the Zoning Board of Adjustments as an alternate. Is anyone have any questions for Sherry?
Is she sane?
Why would she want to be on the board if she was?
Curious.
You like punishment.
Any questions? Anything you'd like to say, Sherry?
Just an honor to do this.
Okay. With that said, I would like our selectman, Mr. Rawson, to swear Sherry in, please. Go right ahead, I'm filling this out. Oh, you need that? Okay, sorry.
Raise your right hand. I
I, Sherry Gazer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially
impartially
discharge
discharge
and perform all duties incumbent
and perform all duties incumbent
on me as zoning board adjustments
and on me as zoning board adjustments
according
according
to the best of my
to
abilities,
the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of the constitutional law
of the constitutional law
of the state of New Hampshire.
of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very
Now,
much.
just for the record, it's as an alternate, though.
As an
Yeah,
alternate.
as an alternate.
Okay. I'm just going to have members sign this, and then Sherry, you can fill in your name, how it's spelled, and then we're going to have Michelle do the rest, because I'm not sure what the date would be. Mr. Brown? Let me see, just sign one. I don't know if there's enough lines, but whoever's last can put it right at the end, next to the other one or whatever. Anyone else interested in being an alternate? We'd love to have 5 or 6 more. I'm serious. We'd love to have more people.
Is that ready?
Anyone listening on TV or watching, if you're interested, please make contact with the town administrator, and we'd love to hear from you. Okay. I'll give this to Michelle. Well,
She's still on.
yeah. Andy, could you give this to Michelle for me? She's gonna have to fill in I don't know what the window is here until what dates and so forth.
Okay.
Because I know it's not a year from today, it's a year from probably elections, right?
Right.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is public comments. Not related to any of the cases. I'm sorry. I can't hear you. That's something we're going to address. We, as of right now, do not do it. Okay. No, not hearing none. I'll close public comment. Okay, third, public hearing for case 2019-2 for a variance from Article 3, Section 3.5, Table of Dimensional Requirements, and Articles, whether it be 17, Section H4 of the zoning ordinance to allow for the construction of a 2-bedroom residential dwelling that replaces the existing grandfathered dwelling located within 50 feet of shoreline primary structure setback where 50 feet is required, and 10 feet from the front property boundary where 40 feet is required on property located at 308 Bowen Road, Milton, in the low-density residential zone and residential protection overlay district, map 23, lot 62. Owner applicant David Alexander. Is Mr. Alexander here? Okay, please step right up. And have you seen or been part of any of these meetings before?
No.
Okay, so what we do is, first we're gonna do is we're gonna determine if it's a, what do you call it, regional impact. That's something we need to do. After that, what we'll do is, you were given the paperwork and asked you questions, and you had to basically fill out your answers to the questions. We have you, well, I'll ask the question, you read your answer, and then any questions, and then we'll take a straw vote on that one question. Or that, all right, and then if in fact it fails, you'll see what ones fail. If it passes, you'll know whatever the case may be. So I'm just giving you, because you haven't seen this before.
Okay.
So I guess the first thing we have to discuss is this a regional impact or not. I personally don't feel it's a regional impact. It doesn't affect anything to do with any other towns or the state of Maine. Any comments, Mr. Brown, or?
None.
All right, can I have a vote that this is, a motion that this is not a regional impact?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor that it's not a regional impact? Aye. Opposed? So it's not, we've decided it's not a regional impact. Okay, let me turn my page here. Okay. Okay, facts supporting this request. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest because, in responding to this question, please address whether granting the variance would alter the essential character of the locality, and 2, whether granting the variance would threaten public health, safety, or welfare. So could you please reply to that, your answer to that question?
Okay. Granting of the proposal variance will not alter the essential residential character of the loyalty. It will not threaten public health, safety, or welfare. The new structure, while larger than the existing structure, will be set further back from the shoreline than the existing cottage.
Okay. Any questions from any board members?
What's the size of the expansion?
We're proposed a 24 by 36.
And what's there now?
It's a 20.
What's the additional area that you're?
What's the existing footage now compared to what you want to do?
Roughly 20 by 24, and it's 100% in the 50 foot. So now we're turning and moving it back as far as we can to the back of the property line to try to go to the new ordinance on the setback.
The setbacks from the
Yeah.
water.
Right.
On the water only, because you
Yeah.
can't meet the setbacks, obviously, you wouldn't be here.
That's right. 100% of the cottage now is grandfather's. 100% is in. So we're trying to push it back and get as much of the cottage out. And it's 2 families that me and my brother that own it inherited the cottage, and it's in desperate repair. We've had looked at rebuilding or fixing up, but it's the structural it was a cottage in the 40s, so 6 feet on center, some stud. So
Is the cottage still erected?
yes,
So it's still sitting there?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you compute, sorry,
Go ahead.
to follow up, did you compute or can you do the quick math for the difference in square footage increase?
I can do that. 20 by 24. Yeah. Right now it's 480, and we're looking for proposed 864.
Any other questions? No one? Do we have any, did we receive any letters of support or disagreement with this application? From anyone? No. Do we have anyone in the audience that's either support or, no? Okay. No more questions from the board? Mr. Brown, usually you got a follow-up.
That 50% bigger? 75% bigger?
I didn't write it down.
Well,
So whatever.
It's 864 versus 480.
Yeah, it's about 50%.
So
50% of 500 would be 250. So it's at least a 50% increase.
Okay. No more?
I think the further away from the water, the better.
Okay, but that's not, that is correct, but we have other,
I understand.
we have other sides we have to take into consideration too.
Butters.
And butters and which we're gonna address is about, what the ordinance was put in play for, put as a law.
I don't know if it matters, but we actually went through the state of New Hampshire. I got my shoreline permit and it's accepted. So I got that permit number. We went through the septic system with the Fuji system, which is a self-maintained new system they just came out with, that we're gonna have a leach field further setback than it is now, 100% out of that area. So I think this is the last part. We kind of went through the state to make sure they were happy with everything too.
All the abutters were notified, correct?
Thank you. You saved me a question.
Okay, so we're ready to vote on this first question? Okay, have a motion? You want to make a motion that your motion's going to read it a yes vote would be in support of his application on
Yes,
this,
vote
on this particular, a second?
I second that.
Okay. We'll take a roll call from my right. Mr. Bulio?
Yes.
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 And the chairman votes no. Okay, we'll go to number 2. The use of the lot will continue to be exclusively residential. I'm sorry. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because, I was reading your answer.
Yes. You answer?
Yes.
The use of the lot will continue to be exclusively residential. The proposed new construction will be more conforming to regard to the shoreline setback than the existing structure.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Brown, you must have a whole bunch on this one.
No, my concern, every application that comes through, whatever board, is what do the abutters have after the item is approved? And so questions about light, air, fire pits, where your property lines are, what view is impacted, and whether or not, as was asked, if there are any comments from an abutter who feels that you're going to be sharing one TV set.
So we've talked to both abutters. Behind me, there's a back lot. There's 3 acres. No one is unbuilt. Well, no one's built on it. So it's 3 acres behind the road behind us. That shoots all the way down to Mrs. Hill's property on Bowling Road, 292, if I remember right. And the abutters left and right, we all have the same size lot. Roughly it's 100 by 52 by 100 by 73. My structure sits on one side. And to be able to get the pushback, we're more centered on the property than it is now. So we'll actually get the distance away from the neighbors pretty much equally, and moving it back. So there's no, we're not altering anything or any line of sight. They're on the shore too, left, right, because the water's New Hampshire in front of us. So, and there's no one behind us. And someday if there was, there's a mountain up behind us, and they can definitely look well over us.
Yeah, thank you. That covers a lot of bases. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? No? Well, my concern is, you just hit the nail on the head why I voted no for the first one. All the lots are the same. And as soon as you do one that way, what's gonna stop from doing everyone that way? And that is gonna change the character. That's just gonna, in my mind, that's gonna change a lot of things. You have a grandfathered lot now that I would have no problem if you wanted to use the same footprint. I'd probably have no problem if you wanted to move it back and use the same footprint, you know, but I personally feel that the ordinance was put into law for a reason. And one of the reasons is to eliminate everyone doing the domino effect of one person doing it and everybody else started doing it. And I'm having a problem with that. Anyone else?
Well, that would still be a case-by-case process anyway.
Right, but,
But if you listen to the applicant's explanation of the structure that's there now, I think he's absolutely improving the character of that neighborhood by putting a new structure and taking the old one down.
you can always rebuild. I mean, it is a cost factor, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
But you can always, I mean, there's other ways to improve something.
yeah. Like I said, it's a case-by-case.
Yeah.
So anybody else would still have to come in front of the board.
The property now is really run down, so it's really an eyesore for my neighbors. And we inherited it probably in 2015. In 2015, me and my brother, Matt, inherited it. And with the expand, we got two families living there. Well, not living there, but using the property. And the original structure is just a single one-bedroom. And again, we looked at possibly rebuilding in the same spot, grandfathered, but we thought by moving it back and trying to get it out of the set point, you know, for the setback as much as we can, and still utilize it and make a new building and the looks and for the neighbors, property values and stuff. We thought this was the best way to go, especially with the septic system. Right now, the septic system is in that within that 50-foot zone, so we'll definitely want to push that back. And
Yeah, many of the properties on the lake are old,
Oh, without
need to
doubt.
be fixed. We've got septic issues that need to be taken care of. Here's someone that wants to do the right thing. I think we need more of it going on the ponds.
That is true to a point. The point of wanting to get people to get more environmentally responsible, yes, 100%. The point of going against what the ordinance says, that's a different whole issue in my mind. There's an ordinance for a reason. That's all I'm saying.
I think we have to.
if we go by that ordinance now, no one can ever do anything because we don't have the land, we don't have the setbacks.
Oh, your grandfather, I'm not I'm just the chairman of this board. I'm not an architect, I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is there's things you can do to build off of that as long as you keep the same footprint, your grandfather. That's my understanding. I may be wrong, but I think am I correct, Mr. Boyers?
I'm sorry.
I'm saying that his grandfather, he could build the
Right.
same footprint.
He could also go 3 stories high.
Right.
Same
But,
footprint, so you
yeah.
end up with the same square footage.
Yeah.
But a cheerful good humor, two things. One, if each of your neighbors went your route, we would have 3 improved septic fields. The other side of that is, this is sheer humor. Why not take this opportunity to build a tiny house? End of humor.
Yes.
I
Well, right
think-
now, the septic systems, especially one of my neighbors, I mean, they're in need of repair. So we actually rent porta potties, so we don't put into, and we've been doing that.
Yeah, well, we thank you for
There's an
that.
expense to that too, and smells and all that stuff too. But that's why we figured we do the whole thing,
Yeah.
and fix it all, fix it
And you know, and that's why this board's here. You may get what you need tonight. I don't know. But I'm just an upfront type of person. You know, I'm not just gonna say yes, no, and that's it. I'm gonna tell you my thoughts, you know. And Mr. Brown, he probably feels he has a tiny house now, so. All right, so any other questions or comments or anything? No? Can I have a motion from someone either way?
But, wait, what number are we on, 2?
2.
2. Spirit of the ordinance?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I move that the applicant has satisfied the spirit of item 2, that the spirit of the ordinance is observed.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll start your way.
Okay. I better vote aye.
Mr. Skillings?
Aye.
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 And I, again, no. Any other opposition? Obviously, no, it's only 5-man board, so, okay. Now we'll go to number 3. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because.
The variance will permit replacement of the now existing grandfathered non-conforming structure with the new dwelling that will be located so as to be more in conformance with setback requirements. Residential use of the property will not change, and the new structure will be able to accommodate 2 related families who now own the lot.
Okay. Questions, comments? Anyone? Go right ahead.
To the point of it accommodating 2 families, is the septic going to be sizable to support 2 families?
Yes, yeah, it was designed with that one, with a 2-bedroom.
Anyone else? No? With that said, anyone want to make a motion?
I move that the applicant has met the requirements discussed in number 3, and I would think we should approve it.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Brown seconds. Okay, Mr. Bouillon?
Aye.
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 And this one, I'm actually going to say aye on this one, because I think there is a justice to it a little bit, but, okay? 4, the values of the surrounding properties are not diminished because.
There will be no change in the current residential use of the property.
Questions, comments? Mr. Brown?
That a hard interpretation would ask you, how many cars do you expect compared to how many cars you had? And are the increased number of people in your vast family going to be raucous past 9 o'clock at night?
So,
Or 8:59?
So it's the same right now. It's 2 families possibly, me and my brother. We have we come up as a family. We live in Maine, both of us. So we're coming with one vehicle per family. So we utilize that, a driveway. The new proposed has a driveway designed for us.
More, if I may interrupt, more seriously, have you discussed with your architect, builder, or whatever, in terms of rainwater roof collection, permeable surface for the driveway, and all the other good things?
Yes, there's some calculations in New Hampshire that if we don't go up to a 30% expansion, then we have to do a watershed design. We're only going to that 20% change, and we have an impervious driveway written on the plan. So that's part of my shoreland acceptance. Is we have a pervious driveway.
Mm-hmm.
So the watershed will go down. Right now we have a major water runoff now, and I forgot the terminology. I think it's like a spell or something like that. They're designing on the end with crushed rocks, so it will stop taking out the road on Baldwin Road. Just big puddles, and so we're trying to fix that. Each time I'm losing my driveway, I'm losing the driveway down into the water. So we're trying to fix that with this, with the pervious driveway, and that's spell, crushed stone,
Swale?
swale. So
Swale.
thank you, swale. That's supposed to be fixing some of that, which we were excited for.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I will say that I think, other than the person that you're going to be within 10 feet of the property line, it's an improvement for the area. You know what I mean? So that's just that one person that I have a concern for. But other than that, I think that you met that requirement if the condition of the building now is as you've stated.
I'm sorry, you said the person that you're,
That you're gonna be within 10 feet of their property line.
of the new structure?
This new structure will be within 10 feet.
No, we won't be. It's from the, we're set back from the road.
Oh, so it's from the road to 10
Yes,
feet,
yeah,
okay.
It's not from.
It didn't say, it just said
Yes,
setback.
okay,
so,
so
all right.
yes, that's.
All right, so that's
actually from the
that's a
road.
little bit better for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no one behind us, it's, and we're,
okay. Okay, that,
Front property.
yeah,
Front property boundary, parenthesis, road, close parenthesis, yeah.
I didn't read it properly then. Okay, anyone else? With that said, I have a motion. Mr. Brown, you want to make the motion?
Let me get my numbers.
Number 4.
Number 4. I move that the applicant has satisfied the conditions of item 4, that the value of the surrounding properties would not be diminished.
Second? Mr. Skilling, second. Okay, Mr. Brown?
Yes.
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 Yes, and the chairman votes yes, so 5 yes. Okay, number 5, little enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. Special conditions of the property distinguish it from other properties in the area because
because of the size and shape of the lot, a usable dwelling cannot be located which complies with the shoreline setbacks. The structure, which is proposed to replace the existing grandfathered cottage, will be less conforming than existing structure.
Okay, any comments, questions? Anyone? None? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make the comment that 1 through 4 have pretty much done the rehash for number 5 already.
I agree.
I move that the proposed no, we did that
Number 5.
backward. Right. Given the conditions of the property referenced, requiring a denial of variance would result in unnecessary hardship because the property is distinct.
Did you get that? Did you get his motion?
You write it the way
Yeah,
you
I
want it.
did.
I screwed it
All
up.
right, now,
Yeah.
second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. William?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll go yes on this one. Okay, so now we took our 5 straw votes. What we'll do now is someone will make a motion either to accept it, approve it, or disapprove it, and then make the vote on that as an overall. So who would like to do that?
I'll make a motion to accept the overall project, the scope of this project.
Second?
Second.
Okay, I'll start with you then, Mr. Bouillon.
Aye.
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 And I'm gonna have to say no. So it's 4-0, which in turn means you did,
4
4 to 1, sorry. You did succeed. But I must tell you, anyone can appeal this within 30 days.
Sure.
So I wouldn't be doing any tearing down or anything until
Yep.
at least 30 days. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now, no, not according to this. My agenda, there is no, oh, where's the meeting?
The last one, we didn't vote on it.
I know, but it's not even on, oh, right here, number 5. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
No, I'm screwed up enough, you don't need to help and do that anymore. All right, number 4 on the agenda, public hearing for case 2019-3 for an appeal of a planning board decision that zoning was met as evidenced by the act of acceptance of an application for revision to an existing 2012 site plan that proposes to add accessory uses, parentheses, campground amenities, and to relocate existing trailer storage at the Mighty Joe Campground on property located at 111 Mighty Joe Road, Milton, in the low-density residential zone, map 28, lot 4, by owner Three Ponds Resort LLC, applicant SFC Engineer Partnership Incorporated, appellants Frank L. Bridges, Jennifer King, James Holloway, Eugene Boucher, and Judy Boucher. And if I understand it, we have an attorney that's representing,
Yes, Your Honor.
can I ask a question? Are you representing all those people that I mentioned?
Yes.
Can we come to an agreement that you will speak for them? Is there, rather than anyone?
Well, I may forget something that they want desperately to say. So
Okay.
I don't want to give up their rights of presentation. But I believe I'll cover the bulk of what needs to be
Okay, I just don't like to not have like the last time when we were here going over the same stuff over and over and over.
We'll try to avoid that this time. We do have a couple points of order that may need to be addressed.
Okay, we're gonna address a couple of things right now. One is that we have one member
Yep.
that needs to recuse himself. Sherry, would you please come to the table and take Mr. Baker's spot?
Thank you.
No.
I'm sure that was one of them.
That was one of them, yes. Thank
And the second one is we have another member that we believe should step down because he has sat on the planning board with this decision. That would be Mr. Brown.
The statement of the chair is slightly inaccurate in that recusal is to the call of the individual themselves who makes their assessment of the information. If you have been at these hearings or any of the meetings, you have seen that I am what I call a structuralist. And that is, if an application is technically complete, that if the fees have been paid, that if it properly references the material to be addressed, that application should go to the planning board, irrespective, as my mother would say, as to future discussions, conditions, and rejections that the planning board itself may put on it. In other words, I believe that the context and content of an application are what carry it. And that any application that comes as accepted deserves a full and careful hearing. That's what many of you were here for a month ago, to try to ensure that full and careful hearing. A clever ZBA member listens to the town attorney, who has recommended that the appearance of having a conflict. Recusal should be for prejudgment. A recusal should be for pecuniary or money interest, for that matter, for personal gain of oneself or one's family, none of which I have. However, a clever ZBA member listens to their attorney, and unless the attorney who brought this case forward is convinced of my impartiality, I plan to step down.
Mr. Brown, I appreciate your eloquence. I think to avoid any appearance of impropriety, you should not be on the board deciding whether the decision that you participated in was right or wrong. It just doesn't look right. But I appreciate your willingness and your eloquence on stating your position.
It is heartbreaking, but it is a satisfaction to be quoted for eloquence by an attorney.
So, Larry?
And consider yourself paroled. You don't have to be here tonight.
Okay, so,
I'm stepping down.
okay, so, Mr. Bolt, with that said, now that makes us a four-person board.
And we need a fifth.
Well, you don't need a fifth. You have the right to say if you want to proceed with four, and I don't have to tell you, you know that if it comes to a tie, you lose. So I need to know from you if you want to proceed with four, or do you want to wait and reschedule this?
Let us wait and reschedule with the fifth appointed.
Okay, we have to try to find another alternate.
Oh,
As of right now, we have one alternate, and she's sitting for,
And we appreciate your willingness to serve.
right,
Thank
and
you very much.
and myself and Mr. Rawson try to convince people to come in and be an alternate, and we're lucky Sherry offered. Um,
And as a selectman in my town, I know that difficulty, and we do thank you very much.
So I have the responsibility to bring everyone aware of that. So you're saying you want to delay this without prejudice, and I don't know if I said that correctly, but you delay it, but we're not going to have them have to re-notify anyone, the abutters or anything.
Correct. And the process is, normally it goes to the date certain of your next meeting.
Correct, which would be, where's the calendar? They had the calendar, it used to be over there.
It's the
Oh,
16th.
it's the fourth Thursday?
The last Thursday.
Yeah,
The last Thursday is the 25th.
okay. Does that meet with everyone here, Sherry, especially because you're going to sit again? Okay? Mr. Brown left us, so he's not, he'll have to tell us again.
Understood.
So, okay, so you're in agreement that we're going to postpone this to the
Yes.
next meeting? Okay?
Okay. And because, let me ask one more point of order, Mr. Chairman. Because of something you said at the initial meeting of this matter back in, I think, December of 17, that you frequently played golf with Mr. Woodruff.
Correct.
Is that still the case?
Yes.
Is it anything that you feel would mean you cannot render an opinion that's impartial as a juror?
No,
would be?
because he's not on the planning board.
No, but part of the actions that we're complaining about in this application.
I understand that.
Are
No,
there-
I don't think so. Are you asking me to step down?
I'm asking you for what you just told
I don't,
me that you don't believe.
if you remember, I offered to step down previously, and you said that wasn't necessary.
Correct.
Okay, so,
Mr. Woodruff's actions have become a little more important in the intervening time, and I just wanted to make sure you felt that there was no
well, I don't think anything's
impropriety in your
changed.
relationship. You'd be able to rule against him in the open.
I think I can be as level-headed and neutral and,
Wonderful.
as I was prior. But if you're requesting me to step down, we'll see if we can get, we'll have to get another chairman, because Larry is,
Well, just because you request
I
it
know.
doesn't mean you don't have to do
Right.
it.
I understand that, but.
You've given me the comfort, going on the record, that you believe that
But I've always,
relationship is not.
no matter what board I was on all these years, I've always taken the role that I don't want this town to be looked at down at all for any actions that I would do. Okay, so I always said, no big deal,
Right.
And
we appreciate that very much.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, respectfully, we're running out of members, so we should sit.
I didn't say I was stepping down yet. I'm just saying that I would give it thought and everything if they really thought they wanted me to step down. Prior to this, they said no when I offered.
Right.
All right? I do play golf. We played 2 weeks ago. All right? He's a better golfer than I am. I'll say that. I chop wood, according to my guy that gives me lessons. All right?
We thank you.
I don't feel that Mr. Woodruff's participation in this is any different than it was prior. I don't feel that he's not part of the planning board. I'm looking at, I got blinders on. I'm looking at it as, did the planning board do the right thing? The board itself, not,
Stan, I think you answered the question.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. So
Let's
we'll
just
continue
stop right
on
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
on the 25th.
all right.
We appreciate you greatly. Thank you much.
All right, see, what's on next? Discussion approval of the last minutes. Can I get Mr. Brown back? Oh, you want to leave, you can leave.
I'm just going to ask if that's okay.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Remember to walk us out.
You got it.
You gotta make sure someone from your office can be here for the,
I'm available that date, by the
Okay.
way. So
all right. Mr. Brown, we're gonna do the approval of the minutes.
I'm against it.
We didn't have a meeting last month, so these minutes are for, where are they?
I think they're May 31st, and I'm gonna go grab them real quick.
Aren't they in here?
I don't think they're.
I have them in I printed them up. It's like, I got so much
I
stuff.
can go grab another copy if you guys.
Right here, April 25th. We didn't have a May
You
meeting.
didn't have the May. Okay.
All right, so, Mr. Woodruff, we're still having a meeting here.
I'm a better golfer than you, golf is important.
Yeah, we're having a meeting here, though. I know that we didn't have a meeting last month, but our April 25th meeting, here are the minutes that Sherry is so willingly to do, thank you. Has everyone read them? I guess that's the most important thing.
The ones of April 25th?
You're back on the board. Okay, you want to just stay there? You can stay there if you want to. So, yeah, April 25th. Anyone have any concerns, changes?
Chairman, I'll recuse myself.
Okay.
I wasn't on the board.
You're gonna abstain?
Abstain.
All right. The only thing that wasn't in here that which is okay, I was gonna say that we did have a discussion about certain cases that were being appealed and so forth, but the message was out, that was good enough, don't you think? All right, so I make a motion to accept the minutes as written for April 25th.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have one abstention. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. With Mr. Boyle abstaining.
Do I need to abstain since I did the minutes?
You're not voting.
Oh, okay, good. I'm just the alternate.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. All right, so those minutes have passed. We can get them on the website as done. Yep. Thank you. All right, other business. Anyone have any other business? Go ahead, Mr. Woodruff.
Your town planner has a couple of items that he'd like to address to them.
Well, can you come over here so we can see you?
That's what I'm sitting here on the staff table.
I didn't know that was a staff table.
It is.
It has the mushroom
I'll
spores.
get up here.
So you're speaking as the town planner?
That's what I've been doing, except
Okay.
when I talk about golfing and beating it. But the bottom line here is that I am your staff representative, appointed by the Board of Selectmen in case you need any guidance on what's in the zoning ordinance, and in some cases what's in the site plan regulations that belong to the planning board, and any questions that probably fall a little below the level of needing legal counsel, mainly because of my experience as a zoning administrator for 35 plus years. I want the board to know that so that you can look to me if you need it and ask those types of questions. The second thing that I wanted to tell you is that in my role in 3 different communities as zoning administrator, it has been something that I do to give you a recommendation sometimes. And the recommendation on your cases usually is not that you should approve, grant, or disapprove. It's that if you approve, there should be some conditions. That's usually the extent of my advice to the board. In your case, 2019-2, 308 Bowling Road, I would have, if I'd been in the room, advised the board to put a couple of conditions on. The conditions had to do with things like making sure that the septic system was replaced, making sure that the 10-foot buffer was re-shrubbed and re-treed, and that drip edges be put around the new structure. The drip edges kind of mitigate that impervious surface, that extra impervious surface. Now, Mr. Alexander may do that, but that is what I would have done had I not been out trying to find a plan for you. I was out trying to find a plan that you could look at because you had many questions about dimensions, where the new lot was situated in relation to other houses and other properties, and that would have answered those questions. And the thing I will do now is apologize to you because we didn't follow through, and by we I mean I didn't follow through in my request to Norway Plains for a PDF file of that plan. Now the applicant had a plan in his hand, but he didn't give it to you.
Well, I guess a solution to this too would be that on every case, you give us a paper with nothing on it and no concerns, or
Punch.
What you feel should be, if approved, should be part of the approval.
And I will do that.
Okay?
That-
And that would be, you'd have that with all our stuff. Okay?
That's it.
All right, thank you. And there's no need to apologize.
Well, we were down staff member for quite a while, and then Ashley's been coming up to speed. So it's been chaos, and we've tried to deal with it as best we could.
Yeah.
Made a couple of mistakes.
For the record, you can turn around and face the camera if you want. Thank you for the materials that you did provide while you were working with all three ends. I know it was difficulty. My own, I may have missed the boat myself, in that I'm so used to cases leaving the ZBA and then going to the planning board for their particular review. And my presumption was that this one would also be going to the planning board on Bowling Road.
No, it will not.
Then
That's the reason for recommending the condition.
I join your apology.
For being out of the room.
Yeah, I join your apology for not pushing for the conditions,
Thank you.
even though he did many good things.
So Bruce, if conditions had been set, who is the one who follows up on that? Is that code enforcement?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be part of the register of deeds, it'll be part of the decision.
Well, if you said like shrubs and stuff,
Yeah.
additional stuff like that, I don't think that'd be in the deed though, but the conditions would be in the application, so that it would be under Brian's authority to see that that's carried out.
Yeah, but I think it'd be that our decision would have that in it, we have to register of deeds.
Well, and we do that. We do a formal notice of decision on all of your
Right.
adjudications, and we do it on the planning board approvals or disapprovals as well. So that goes into the record forever at the registry. And that's the reason for it, is, you granted this, but you granted it with these conditions. And I will say that, your code enforcement officer will be out there every step of the way with regard to inspections. So he'll know about the septic system. We will make sure that he has a copy of the shoreland permit that talks about revegetating the 10-foot buffer and remediating. I think there's an area where water just flows pretty quickly into the lake there on that property, and they have to remediate that as well. So there's several things, and even though I didn't make it in time to give you the conditions suggested, we'll make sure that happens.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else have anything on the other business? I have one thing. I've said on other boards, and I brought this up for the budget committee one time, and this is what you were getting at earlier tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance. Up to now, this board has not done the Pledge of Allegiance. I think we should. I think the board needs to take 5 minutes, talk about it, and decide whether or not we're going to or not.
Okay. I think we should give the Pledge of Allegiance after every decision that we make, just to make sure that we have that blessing on the work that we do.
Well, I don't
Is
know.
that so- is
I don't
that-
think we'd have to go that magnitude, but
But that's what
When's
you're
this
saying.
like that?
You're saying that civil work cannot be done without a Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm not saying it can't be done.
I'm not done haranguing yet. When you go to be a state legislator, you take the oath of office to the Constitution of the United States and to the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire. You take it once, and the Constitution itself says that the oath once taken satisfies.
But this board has the right to say whether or not we're going to do it at the beginning of every meeting. And that's what I'm asking. Personally, I think we should. And no differently than other boards do.
Right.
So I guess I will make the motion, unless someone else wants to discuss it a little more. I'll make the motion that starting at the next meeting, we do the Pledge of Allegiance.
And I respectfully second that motion.
Any, all in favor? Oh, hang on, let's do it as, yes, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I think we know, but
Aye.
no, or
Abstain.
abstain, and aye. So it's 4-0-1.
One additional point. Can each member that worked on the Bowling Road variance case turn in your ZBA worksheet, which is a...
Hey, hang on, we're in the middle of a vote here.
Oh, I thought you were done.
No, right, but I haven't put it to rest.
Are you
Okay,
putting-
I mean, I just turned to her to say it's gone through, everything, okay? So starting the next meeting, we're gonna start doing the Pledge of Allegiance, which,
Can we also do it before each vote?
you make that motion.
no.
No.
Well, he can make the motion, we're gonna vote no, so,
Right.
yeah. All right, so that's put to rest now. Mr. Woodruff, what else did you have?
Well, I forgot about this when I was addressing you earlier. You all should have a ZBA worksheet entitled Statement of Reasons for a Variance.
Yes?
I don't know if, there's been a big turnover on the board. So, a year and a half ago, we talked about this, and I presented this to the zoning board. The reason why there are lines here for you to fill in, these are your findings of fact. When you listen to the applicant talk to you about the 5 criteria and why he or she believes that they've met the 5 criteria, you really need to write down what your findings of fact are. It doesn't have to be the same, because each one of you is a singular vote. The reason we need this is because we do a formal notice of decision that puts all of those findings of fact together so that it will stand the scrutiny of any future court action.
So you're looking for
So,
a paper trail.
I'm asking that you do this. You can scribble it, you can do shorthand.
All right, so we can do that and return it for the next meeting, correct?
If you didn't do it this time, you should.
But we can return it for the next meeting for this, because we have to approve the minutes at the next meeting, we can turn these in with the minutes.
No, we use this to put together the formal notice of decision. It really needs to go out, within a couple of weeks. We do a short notice of decision the day after the meeting.
Okay, so if someone was in the negative side of this, do they still in fact need to fill this out?
Yes,
Well-
absolutely.
The decision wasn't on their side.
I understand that, but that's why it's a worksheet. You
Okay.
turn them in, we use them to prepare the formal notice of decision.
So this becomes a legal document then?
We
Yes.
go in the file.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a paper trail.
Okay, so starting in the next meeting, we'll start using them. So we'll have to make sure we have a fresh,
Sheet every time.
a fresh paper, because then it's not gonna be in our book after that meeting. Okay? Everyone in agreement? I'll make a motion that so we put it in the minutes, I'll make a motion that after starting the next meeting, that during the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, we turn in our ZBA worksheet, statement of reasons for the variance. Second?
Discussion.
Discussion.
Presuming we have entered materials on the worksheet.
Well, Bruce is saying is we must enter materials on the worksheet. Either or, whatever we're thinking, we must put down. Right? Whatever our thought process was.
I can't make members do this, but the point is that this is in your interest as a zoning board to make sure that we have written findings of fact that can be put in the final notice of decision that make it so that your decisions can stand the scrutiny of court action.
It's not a bad idea.
You don't want a judge to say, and looking at the records, and this has happened many times in the state of New Hampshire, is that zoning boards will say, yes, make motions, and not give findings of fact and statements of why they're voting that way. And when anybody that has standing goes and says, I want to appeal this, the judge remands it back to the zoning board, and you've got to do it all over again.
Which
This
in
is the way
fact,
to- This is the way to make sure that it doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong.
okay, so I'll get a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye.
Last comment. Anybody who wishes can look up Aldrich Ames, Robert Hassan, Jonathan Pollard. Some of the best flag saluters you will ever meet. They're all in federal prison. Pollard may have gotten out.
Okay. Anything else for other, I got one thing too. We had discussed the zoning board's, what do you call it, their rules? Bylaws. Did everyone take a look at them? We did vote in the existing bylaws, but I had made a request, everyone look at them to see if they thought there was any changes should be made to discuss. So if you haven't, please, because one of these meetings, we're gonna have to address it and not me bug you about it,
Could you give me a copy of that?
okay? Anyone else with any other business? No? Want to make a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
Make a motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.